Joining me in this studio, I'm delighted to say, is Ivon Sampson, immigration lawyer, well known to this show and this channel. Ivon, great to have you with us. So, significant speech by the Home Secretary. Interesting she went to Washington to make it as opposed to here in the UK. She's right, isn't she? The situation is completely unsustainable.
I agree that the Refugee Convention needs amending, but I don't agree that the principal core reasons for claiming asylum need amending. Those are fundamental principles agreed upon by most of the world, where people are being persecuted because of their nationality, their race, their gender, or their sexual orientation, or their political opinion. Now, people only claim asylum when they're being persecuted by their own government.
Come on, Ivon, we know that. Come on, we know that the majority now are economic migrants. We understand everybody wants a better life. We understand millions of British citizens want a better life. That's the reality, isn't it?
If there's an economic migrant coming to this country, it's the job of the government to make sure that we identify them and we remove them. You mentioned Australia. That was really successful. Do you know how it worked? How did they manage to push back?
They pushed back because they made it clear. They pushed back the boats and they had an arrangement with an offshore processing centre, and it worked. And all of a sudden, the boats stopped. And 10 years later, the boats are not coming back.
Let me correct you. What they did was had agreements with countries to send people back to. We don't have those agreements. See, once you come over here and you claim asylum, and let's just say you're refused, you're an economic migrant, what is the government doing? Nothing. Have we prosecuted one single person who's a trafficker? No. Have we sent one person back to Rwanda? We haven't.
Let's be very clear. Hang on. The UN 51 Convention does not say we have to have returns agreements. We're entitled to do that. We're entitled to reject these applications if they're not lawful. And what troubles many people in this country is, compared to 10 years ago, the Home Office, which I think is completely unfit for purpose, it's now accepting 3 times as many applications, even though they're far too slow, as you and I can probably agree, as it did 10 years ago. They've become a bunch of softies.
Look, let me tell you why I think we should amend it. The evidential burden on an applicant is very low under the Convention. You don't need to have any evidence at all. You don't even need evidence of who you are. And I think that's where it's failing. We need to know who these people are, and we need evidence that they're claiming that this is a genuine asylum claim. A lot of people claim asylum pretending to be from another country. Successfully, I may add. And there's a lot of bogus applications that have been pushed through where the Home Office has failed to properly identify where a person actually comes from.
For example, if you've got, there's a significant number now coming from India, from Turkey, from other countries that are not war-torn countries that we know and understand. Why aren't those people immediately returned?
Well, that's a good question. The answer is not to come out of the Convention. The answer is to have policies, agreements and processes to return these people. You don't punish genuine asylum seekers.
No, correct. But
because of this genuine
India's
application.
not at war, is it? Come on, Ivon,
no,
be
I agree.
honest.
Look, I'm with you on this.
They should be immediately... I mean, it's a member of the Commonwealth, for heaven's sake.
Correct. So the question is, what is the government doing? Why is the government not returning people from whence they came?
Because they're trapped by lawyers like your good self and many others who are making vast sums of money at taxpayers' expense, Ivon.
Well, I don't have any clients on legal aid, but anyway...
But you get the point.
Yeah, the point is the government is failing. The optics are bad. People coming across the channel, our borders at the moment are subject to the weather. I mean, that's not sustainable.
I agree entirely. The first role of government is to provide security and safety for British citizens, including, where necessary, you defend our borders. Our borders are completely open, and we've got to say enough's enough. Australia said enough is enough, and they stopped it. They led the way, and I think we should do exactly the same. We can safely pick up and take back. Otherwise, this goes on.
Why don't we stop them coming in the first place, disgenuine ones? Why don't we have offshore processing centres? The only people that can stop the small boats are the French. What does the EU want?
No, well, actually, that's not true. I mean, the Belgians,
yes.
For example, they've stopped some boats leaving their shores. They've stopped them and taken them back to Belgium.
Correct. Why are the French not doing this? And I've got my view on this. The EU wants some form of free movement back. They want some form of free movement back, and then that will then... they will then order the French to stop the boats, and the French will do it. And I'll tell you what free movement they want back.
But why did Belgium do it? Belgium's a member of the EU. They've done it because they knew it was the right thing. We've sent hundreds of millions of pounds to France, and actually what they're doing is sending ever more, mainly economic migrants, to the United Kingdom. The British people have had enough, Ivan. And what worries me is what this looks like in 12 or 24 months if nothing is done. And that's why I think the Home Secretary is right to highlight the need to change things, because at the moment the whole thing's being hijacked by the
Let's just say you're right. Let's come out of the convention today. No more asylum seekers allowed, no applications. That will not stop the boats. This is the problem. It's not what we do with them, it's how we stop them coming in the first place. That is a problem. We need an offshore processing centre. I've just helped a CEO of a national airline with his 4 families, £30,000 in Home Office fees. It took 2 months. Should we allow free movement for CEO of airlines? Absolutely. Should we allow free movement for surgeons? Absolutely. From the EU? Absolutely.
But that's a different point. The point here is that we've got millions of economic migrants who are looking to move to Europe, and many of those will want to move to the United Kingdom. And if we don't start addressing this now, I'm being a bit tough on this. I'm saying you've got to use shock and awe. You've got to say one of the most respected nations in the world is going to say either we sort this out or we're out.
If I'm an economic migrant and I want to come to the UK and I come here, I know I'm not going to be removed. They know that.
And that's the incompetence of the Home Office.
That's the incompetence of the Home Office. So the solution to stop people coming is to remove them back where they came from.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Genuine applicants.
As Margaret Thatcher said in the 1980s, if you have people who are not accepted through the asylum system and you cannot deport them to where they came from, then the whole international law and order system breaks down.
Correct.
And that's actually what Suella Braverman is referring to. It's excellent to agree on that.
She said, if you're gay, that shouldn't give you a right to claim asylum. Look, many countries, being gay means you're going to be killed. Now, if someone rocks up on our shore with that hanging over the head, are we going to refuse them?